What is the war in Iran all about? More importantly, does Donald Trump even care about what it will cost? A clip of him talking about U.S. military deaths, as well as his use of images from a dignified transfer ceremony in a campaign fundraising email, makes it clear that the cost isn't important to him at all, so long as it helps him politically. Hi, I'm Chris Walker, and this is The Walkthrough. Thanks for tuning in. We are nearing the end of the third week of the war in Iran. A war that was never authorized by Congress, a war that has no clear objectives set by this administration, and a war for which justifications have shifted so frequently that it is difficult to know exactly why we're even there. The administration will try to tell you that it's because we couldn't allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. But the country was nowhere near getting one, and the U.S. was in the middle of negotiations with it when the surprise joint operation with Israel to start attacks began on February 28th. The Trump White House will also tell you that the war was necessary because our interests in the region were under threat. But according to our own country's intelligence, such a threat never truly existed before we started launching missiles into Tehran. To be sure, the Iranian government is not a force for good. They are tyrannical, they suppress human rights, they kill their own people, and so on. A democratic Iran would be a better option, but with Trump demanding that he must select its next leader, democracy and freedom in the country is also not a reason for his administration to cite for starting this conflict. And if a war of any kind is to happen, the least we can ask for is that the Trump administration abide by our own country's laws, to follow the terms laid out in our Constitution, to attain congressional approval before starting a new conflict in the Middle East. The Trump administration is flouting that process. They're not the first to do so, of course, but it's still wrong, and it needs to be challenged. Unfortunately, we have a weak Republican-led Congress that refuses to challenge President Donald Trump at every turn on anything out of fear of reprisal from him and threats of primary challengers he may support if they do. They truly exemplify the ideal of profiles in cowardice. Now, the president is talking about taking over Cuba, as if unauthorized attacks on Venezuela and Iran weren't already enough.
But I think Cuba's the end. You know, all my life I've been hearing about the United States and Cuba. When will the United States do it? I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. That'd be good. That's a big honor.
Taking Cuba.
Taking Cuba in some form, yeah. Taking Cuba. I mean, whether I free it, take it, I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth? They're a very weakened nation right now. They were for a long time. Very violent leaders.
How do we stop these Trump forever wars with an incompetent and unwilling Congress? We've seen Trump balk before, but it takes effort from we the people to make it happen. Marches, demonstrations, and other acts of resistance in Minneapolis led to an eventual drawback of federal immigration agents in the Twin Cities. That happened after a large series of actions over several weeks, but it was successful. Now, just imagine what a sustained nationwide protest could do. It would take a lot of effort, but making war unpopular again would be easier than people realize, mainly because it already is unpopular. A new Economist YouGov poll published this week found that 56% of Americans do not support the war in Iran, with just 33%, mostly Republican MAGA backers, in favor of the war. What's more, similar numbers disapprove of Trump's handling of the war, with 56% giving him negative marks and only 36% approving of his actions so far. And asked whether they want the war to end sooner rather than later, 61% of Americans want the war to end ASAP. Only 24% say the war should keep going until all U.S. objectives have been achieved. But again, who exactly knows what those objectives are? The point is this: the American people don't want this war. They didn't want it from the start. They didn't want it when gas prices started soaring, and they still don't want it as Iranian civilians and U.S. service members die over it. As for Trump, it appears that he's perfectly fine with those outcomes, especially with the latter one, as it provides an excellent, albeit incredibly distasteful, photo opportunity for his fundraising efforts.
Fundraising email from the Trump team this weekend includes a picture of the president in his white USA cap, saluting at the dignified transfer of the first U.S. soldiers killed in the war. MS Now reached out to the White House for comment, but we haven't received a response. But what message does this send to MAGA and veterans? And by the way, this email offers donors attendance to private national security briefings by Trump himself.
Asked by reporters after news of that campaign email came out whether it was appropriate or not, Trump said he had no problem with it because he had won an election.
Your PAC put out a fundraising email a couple of days ago, and it's being criticized for using official White House photos of you at the Dignified transfer. And the PAC is also promising access to secret.
Well, I was at the Dignified transfer, unlike a lot of other people.
Do you think it's an appropriate email to send? Your critics are saying that your fundraising.
I didn't see it. I mean, somebody puts it up. We have a lot of people working for us, but there's nobody that's better to the military than me. And all you have to do is look at the election results, look at the kind of votes that we get, look at the poll numbers.
It's evident this isn't just a president who lacks the clarity to understand or articulate what this war is about, but he's also a president who just doesn't care. He doesn't care about the rise in prices it will bring to American consumers, nor the deaths it will bring to Iranian civilians, nor the deaths it will bring to members of the U.S. military. In fact, as we have seen, he will use those military deaths to his own financial and political advantage, which is absolutely disgusting. This war needs to come to an end for many reasons. And when it's over, we need to consider ways to articulate to Congress, either this current one or the one that's due to come in January 2027, that we want this president impeached and removed from office right away. I'm Chris Walker, and this has been The Walkthrough. Please like and share this video and subscribe to whatever channel or page you saw it on. If you want to give additional support to this project, please consider making a donation to my Buy Me a Coffee campaign at buymeacoffee.com/thatchriswalker. Thanks for watching.